She thought she married the perfect man.
He'd have this compulsive kind of desire to have everything under control at all times, just trying to build himself up and tear her down.
She had no way of knowing he was a wolf in sheep's clothing.
There was definitely a feeling of threat because we didn't know what was going to happen.
This is Amy Johnson's story. When Till Death Do Us Part becomes a dangerous vow.
I am Dr. Michelle Ward. I'm a criminal psychologist, and I was stalked. And I'm not alone. Over 3 million people are stalked every year in this country. Many survive the ordeal, others do not. These are their terrifying stories.
One day I stumbled across the letter typed as if I had typed it, going on and on about how I'm sorry for what I'm about to do. I realized, oh my gosh, he just basically wrote my suicide note. It was just kind of like a punch in the face to me, and wake up, you're in danger. My husband is gonna kill me.
Growing up in the Midwest, little Amy Johnson was a happy child and the apple of her parents' eye.
Amy was, if I had to come up with a noun or an adjective, I'd say sunshine, light.
She can make anybody laugh. She was just a joy. She really was.
This all-American girl grows up to be a striking young woman. And in 1998, while in college, Amy meets a corrections officer named Dustin Hall.
After a while, we just started dating, and then it just went on from there. I was happy, very happy.
In April 2001, after dating for 2 years, the young couple ties the knot.
We have pictures of her after the wedding where there's just joy. She looked very happy. She had that glow, you know, that happens to young people.
With the support of her new husband, Amy decides to pursue her life's passion and become a police officer.
I knew there was law enforcement that I was interested in.
She worked very hard. She was well-liked, I think, had a lot of friends. So we're very proud of her.
As her career takes off, things at home evolve as well. And in March 2005, she gives birth to a beautiful, healthy baby girl.
I knew I wanted to be a mom, and so I was very happy. I adore my daughter. It really was kind of living a dream.
But Amy's dream is short-lived. Almost overnight, it seems as if Dustin, her husband and the father of her child, has become a different person.
I started seeing things that were really disturbing me. His emotions were just like a roller coaster. If it would be the rolling on the floor crying, or if it would be, you know, anger, calling me names, yelling at me, I never knew what I would be faced with.
I'm sorry.
When she was standing next to him, she looked scared and terrified and almost leaning away. You could see the tension building.
I've seen these type of cases before, where somebody is seemingly normal and somebody you feel you know well, they change. And then you get these emotional outbursts, this rage and a switch, this controlling behavior. They're a sign of a person not having control of himself. Dustin exhibiting rage and emotional outbursts is definitely the first sign of trouble.
And things are about to get much worse for Amy.
I would be late for work because I was cleaning up the house. Everything had to be straightened, or he'd start getting very angry. It went to the point where when I was doing my hair, I said to myself, as I was pulling my hair back, I can't wear my hair this way because he doesn't like my hair that way.
He'd have this compulsive kind of desire to have everything under control at all times, just trying to build himself up and tear her down.
I was going to take Sally to go visit my mother. Please? No.
When Dustin exerts this control over Amy, he feels better inside. He feels powerful.
You're right, I shouldn't say.
See, you learn.
These changes happen so slowly and they're so gradual, it's very hard for the person in the relationship to actually see what's happening to them. When Amy finally realizes that Dustin has become so manipulative and so controlling, she also realizes that this is no longer a healthy relationship.
So we are very happy.
I really stepped back to think, what should I do about this? Do I leave? Do I stay? And I wanted to leave, but what was holding me there was our daughter. So I stuck with it, and I tried to make the best of it.
Despite Amy's efforts, the relationship continues to deteriorate. And in the fall of 2007, after 6 years of marriage, Amy finally tells Dustin that it's over.
That was very, very, very hard. He broke down. He was very upset by it. He begged and begged and begged that I stay. He would say everything from, I'm going to become an alcoholic, to, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself.
Dustin is dangerously dependent on this relationship with Amy for a sense of power and control. So when Amy tells him that she's leaving, that's his worst nightmare come true.
It was hard, but I knew that leaving this relationship is the best thing I can do.
Amy moves out and begins to rebuild her life without Dustin. But it's clear that he has no intention of letting her go. And for Amy, the worst is yet to come.
He just went off the deep end. He was completely unstable. That's when things started to go wrong.
After 6 years of marriage, 31-year-old Amy has finally broken free from her controlling husband, Dustin Hall.
I was trying to think of the best thing to do for our daughter. It was the best decision I could make. How can I be a healthy parent for her if I'm, not able to be happy myself?
We could all breathe a sigh of relief.
But no one is able to breathe easy for long. Dustin refuses to accept that the marriage is really over.
He would constantly be texting, constantly be calling. He was throwing himself in my face one way or another. It was maddening. He was following me. If I went to a bar after work, he would sit outside and watch the bar, or wherever I was at. I would get stomach aches. I was getting physically sick. Constantly, I was asking him to stop. I really, really wanted him to just stop doing it. It was clear to me that I was being stalked.
As a mother, it was painful to have to see her go through this.
I thought, well, maybe I should bring the police department in, but I was ashamed. Me being a police officer, I should be able to handle this.
If you look at the situation from Amy's point of view, she's a police officer. Her job is to protect people. It must be so hard for her to realize that she herself needs the protection. I'm sure Amy thought she could handle the situation at home. Look, she can handle the bad guys on the street. She can handle her husband.
You're gonna have to stop.
Amy thought that she could get Dustin to leave her alone, but unfortunately she could not have been more wrong.
Amy tries to ignore Dustin and focuses on her work. And she's relieved to find a confidant in fellow cop Jeff Miller.
I had worked with Jeff for years. I knew he was just a really good person, so I confided in Jeff.
I feel like he's showing up wherever I am.
He was the only person that kind of knows the issues that were going on.
She told me things about the controlling behaviors. There's no reason to be doing that to her.
It doesn't take her estranged husband Dustin long to find out about her friendship with Jeff. He believes they're dating, but they're not.
And from then on, Jeff was a victim of this too. He was followed, he was threatened.
Any man in Amy's life is going to be a threat to Dustin. It's not only somebody that she might eventually be interested in, but it's somebody who might be in her ear, telling her how bad Dustin might be for her. He's going to be seething, just jealousy and rage surging through his body.
I quickly got to recognize him in his vehicle. I would be near the station and see him drive by. I would find it parked near my apartment. Once I was in the middle of the intersection and I noticed that there were headlights pointed in my direction. My first thought was, oh my God, he's gonna run me over, but then just drove through. He was trying to scare me off.
As the threats continue, Amy begs Dustin to leave her and Jeff alone.
I said, this is stalking behavior. You are going to get in big trouble for this. I'm going to at some point have to go to police. You need to stop doing this.
All right.
Amy tries to reason with Dustin because it's her husband. It's the father of Amy's child. And of course she thinks she can reason with him. I don't think Amy saying anything to Dustin is going to help. He's determined to not let Amy go.
One day, I just left the gym, and he called right when I got in the car. I didn't really want to talk to him, but I'd pick up.
Hello.
He said, so where are you off to now? I said, I'm on my way to the bookstore.
While still on the phone with Dustin, Amy decides not to go to the bookstore and goes to her parents' house instead.
And he said, so where are you going? There's just an edge in his voice. And then he got very angry. And I got the feeling of, he knows I'm not going to the bookstore. I thought maybe he was following me. I'm looking in my rearview mirror, and I'm not seeing where he would be.
And then, suddenly, her police instinct kicks in.
It occurred to me, is there something on my car?
Amy pulls over and immediately searches the entire vehicle. She looks under the seats, in the trunk, and then under the hood.
I pull out this box that had this blinking light on it. And then I found out it was a GPS tracking unit. I was horrified as to what the capabilities were. This was a unit that real-time tracks the person. So someone monitoring that unit can literally watch as you drive down the street. My ex-husband put this in my car.
Dustin's crossed the line. Now he's going to extremes, obsessively keeping tabs on Amy.
That was probably the worst moment. Not knowing what he was capable of, I started getting scared. I was petrified something was going to happen.
Amy Johnson has just discovered that her estranged husband, Dustin Hall, has secretly installed a GPS device in her car so he can follow her.
I was freaked out. He was tracking me. You don't know when you're being watched, where you're being watched.
That's putting out a lot of effort to follow someone. So it took it to another level.
I think at this point, Dustin has no sense of boundaries. I bet Amy's realizing that she does not know Dustin as well as she thought she had. He's doing things that she thought he was not capable of, and he's pushing limits that she didn't think he'd push.
Amy removes the GPS system from her car, but she knows she's not safe. She's afraid Dustin will come after her the instant she lets her guard down.
Amy's got to be feeling completely violated. Here she is, doing her own thing, running her life. She's made the choice to leave him. She stood up for herself, and yet he still has her under his thumb. He's still following her. He still has access to her. I'm sure she's wondering, oh my God, what else is he capable of?
There was definitely a feeling of threat because we didn't know what was going to happen.
I think the overriding concern was her physical safety.
Throughout this time, she's not able to sleep.
I was exhausted. I knew it was dangerous, so we're on high alert.
You never know where they are, when they're going to turn up. You live with that fear, that anxiety.
Since Dustin went to such great lengths to track her with a GPS, Amy knows there are no limits to what he might do. With Jeff's help, she does a standard police search through her house every night after work.
They checked to make sure that he wasn't in there, that things hadn't been disturbed, that he hadn't been in there.
We're cops and we're armed, but you can only watch your back so much.
And she's about to learn that no matter what she does, Dustin is one step ahead.
One day in February in 2008, I found out my computer was being hacked into.
Amy searches the computer and comes upon a mysterious document.
I stumbled across a file called Horrible Mistake. I said, what's this? Clicked on it, and it was a letter addressed to the police department.
The letter is signed in Amy's name, but she didn't write it.
I started reading it, and there was this 3-page long letter about what an awful person I am, how I feel so badly about what I did, how I hurt so many people, how I'm leaving my daughter. I've read suicide notes before, and if I saw that from somebody else, I would think they were going to kill themselves. I realized, oh my gosh, he just basically wrote my suicide note. I was horrified. I absolutely believed I was in danger. Something was going to happen to me. My husband is going to kill me.
Amy Johnson has just discovered a terrifying letter on her computer that proves she's in extreme danger. Her estranged husband, Dustin, is plotting to kill her and disguise it as a suicide.
It was just kind of like a punch in the face to me, and wake up, you're in danger. Something's going to happen to you.
At this point, Dustin is becoming more desperate. It went from him harassing her and trying to get her back to, if I can't have you, nobody can. That's his way of controlling the situation. If I can't keep you caged, I'm gonna kill you. This is a game changer. Now Dustin is incredibly dangerous. Now we know just how far he will go.
At this point, this is going beyond something I can just handle. I need help.
Amy and Jeff go straight to the police precinct and speak with their colleague, Detective Marion Morgan.
She came in with Jeff, and she said that she wanted to discuss something with me about her estranged husband.
I kind of broke down. I think I was exhausted, and I think I really needed to tell my story.
It was clear to me the intimidation, the threats, the monitoring had been going on for some time. He had pretty much dedicated every waking moment to stalking her.
Then, Amy tells Detective Morgan about the suicide letter.
And Detective Morgan just kind of sat there. She said, we need to get rolling on this because you are in danger.
Now, the clock is ticking. Police have to move quickly and gather enough evidence to make an arrest before Dustin goes through with his death threat.
That sort of kicked us into overdrive because the situation is happening real time.
Since Amy and Dustin are still legally married, police only need Amy's consent to enter his house and confiscate the computer.
Once we got into the computer, it was clear that Dustin had been online looking at spyware, looking at GPS monitoring devices, going to sites to learn how to access her phone calls, track her by phone, track her car.
And fortunately, in the state of Wisconsin, this is enough to bring him up on charges.
She said, we need to arrest him now. We need to go get him now.
And in a matter of minutes, police officers descend on Dustin's house.
Dustin was arrested for felony stalking, and he was charged not only with the stalking, but computer crimes.
Amy believes he was stopped just in time.
My gut tells me that I may have ended up dead, and so I was very, very lucky.
Dustin pleads guilty to 2 counts of felony stalking, 1 for Amy and 1 for Jeff.
No one has the right to make someone else feel terrified and constantly harassed, like they're about to die.
And on December 18th, 2008, he is sentenced to 3 years in the Wisconsin State Penitentiary.
He's in custody, so she's able to live a fairly normal life right now.
Amy's divorce from Dustin is finalized. And what started as just a friendship with Jeff eventually blossoms into something more. In December 2009, they're married.
I have a new life now, and I'm lucky to be in a very healthy, good marriage now. I'm happy, and I'm allowed to be happy. It's a fantastic feeling.
She's incredibly okay. She doesn't live her life in fear. She made it through.
Amy's nightmare is at an end, for now. But the threat isn't completely over.
Stalkers don't quit. They don't let go. As long as he's obsessed with her, it doesn't matter how much time elapses.
There's always a threat, and that's always in the back of my mind.
Stalkers like Dustin are notoriously difficult to rehabilitate unless they receive intensive treatment. When Dustin is released from prison, Amy may find herself looking over her shoulder again.
They don't hold people in jail forever. We'll do what we need to do to protect ourselves, to protect our family, and that's all we can do.